This footage was hidden away for more than 50 years, not because it was classified, but because what it shows is almost impossible to watch. In a single night, an entire capital city was transformed into a sea of fire, not by a nuclear weapon, not by a single explosion, but by thousands of ordinary bombs designed to burn everything they touched. More civilians died here than in Hiroshima or Nagasaki. Yet this event remains one of the least discussed tragedies of the Second World War. This is the night Tokyo burned. By 1945, the war in the Pacific had entered its most brutal phase. The idea of limited warfare was gone. Cities were no longer protected spaces. They were considered part of the battlefield. Factories were no longer isolated targets. Homes, workshops, and entire neighborhoods were now viewed as contributors to the war effort. The road to Tokyo's destruction began years earlier, on December 7, 1941. That morning, Japanese aircraft launched a surprise attack on Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. Battleships burned, aircraft were destroyed on the ground. Thousands of American sailors were killed or wounded. Within hours, the United States and Japan entered a state of total war. America's first response came in April 1942. 16 B-25 bombers, led by Lieutenant Colonel James Doolittle, took off from the aircraft carrier USS Hornet. Their mission was to strike Japan's home islands. The bombs fell on Tokyo, Yokohama, Nagoya, and Kobe. The raid shocked the Japanese public and lifted American morale. But militarily, the damage was minimal. For the next 2 years, the United States simply lacked the ability to conduct sustained strategic bombing against Japan. The distance was too great. The technology was not yet ready. That changed with the arrival of a new bomber. The B-29 Superfortress was the most advanced bomber of the war. It could fly higher than most enemy fighters could reach. It could outrun many interceptors, and it could carry a massive bomb load over intercontinental distances. This aircraft was not designed for precision strikes on small targets. It was designed to deliver destruction on a massive scale. In June 1944, the first B-29s attacked Japan from bases in China. The missions were difficult and inefficient. Mechanical failures were frequent. Some bombers crashed on takeoff. Others were forced to drop their bombs into the ocean to stay airborne. To carry enough fuel for the long journey, bomb loads had to be reduced. The damage inflicted on Japan was limited. Everything changed after the United States captured key islands in the Pacific. From the Mariana Islands, B-29 bombers could reach Japan with ease and return safely. In November 1944, American forces launched their first large-scale bombing raids on Tokyo from the south. The strategy was daylight precision bombing from high altitude, but the results were disappointing. Strong winds scattered the bombs, cloud cover hid targets. Only a small percentage of bombs landed where they were intended. More importantly, the strategy misunderstood Japan's industrial system. Unlike Germany, Japan did not rely on large, centralized factories alone. Its war production depended on thousands of small workshops scattered throughout residential neighborhoods. Families produced parts inside their homes. Those parts were then shipped elsewhere for final assembly. High-altitude precision bombing could not destroy this system. In January 1945, command of the bombing campaign was given to Major General Curtis LeMay. LeMay carefully studied the situation and reached a grim conclusion. Tokyo was a city built largely of wood and paper. Its neighborhoods were tightly packed. Fire, not explosives, would be the most effective weapon. LeMay ordered a radical change in strategy. Bombers would fly at night, at low altitude, carrying almost nothing but incendiary bombs. To increase bomb capacity, defensive gun turrets were removed from the aircraft. Speed and payload mattered more than protection. The objective was no longer precision, it was total ignition. On the night of March 9, 1945, Operation Meeting House began. 334 B-29 bombers took off from bases in the Mariana Islands. Each aircraft carried 6 to 8 tons of incendiary bombs. Just after midnight, the first wave reached Tokyo. Bombs filled with napalm and magnesium rained down on the city. Small fires erupted everywhere at once. Within minutes, those fires merged into massive walls of flame. The heat created powerful updrafts pulling in cold air from all directions. The result was a firestorm. Winds reached hurricane force. Temperatures climbed so high that asphalt melted. Metal warped. Human bodies ignited. People did not simply burn to death. Many suffocated as oxygen was ripped from the air. Others were crushed as crowds panicked and fled. Thousands jumped into rivers and canals to escape the flames. Many drowned. Others were boiled alive as burning debris fell into the water. Shelters became death traps. Concrete buildings filled with smoke. People collapsed where they stood. By morning, 41 square kilometers of Tokyo had been erased from the map. More than 260,000 buildings were destroyed. At least 83,000 civilians were dead. Over 1 million people were left homeless. Some estimates place the death toll far higher. It was the most destructive non-nuclear air raid in human history, and it was only the beginning. Within days, American bombers struck Nagoya, destroying its aircraft production centers. Osaka followed, Japan's second-largest city, then Kobe. Night after night, fire rained down. In May 1945, Tokyo was bombed again. Hundreds of B-29s returned, flying low along rivers and residential districts. Entire neighborhoods disappeared in hours. The flames were so intense they could be seen from aircraft flying hundreds of kilometers away over the Pacific Ocean. Some fires burned for days before finally going out. By the summer of 1945, Japan's air defenses had collapsed. There were almost no fighter planes left. Fuel was scarce. Medical services in major cities barely existed. By July, more than 100,000 tons of incendiary bombs had fallen on Japan. Tokyo was described by survivors as a dead city. Few intact buildings remained. Many of the people who survived were injured, burned, or starving. The bombing campaign achieved its strategic goal. Japan's ability to produce war materials was shattered. Morale collapsed. The destruction also allowed the United States to avoid a full-scale ground invasion of the Japanese mainland, an operation expected to cost hundreds of thousands of American lives. But the cost to civilians was enormous. The firebombing of Tokyo remains one of the most controversial actions of the war. It raised questions that still have no easy answers. Curtis LeMay later admitted that if the United States had lost the war, he would likely have been tried as a war criminal. Yet he believed the bombing ended the war sooner and ultimately reduced the total loss of life. History does not offer simple judgments. It only records what happened, and what happened on that night in March 1945 was the destruction of a city, the death of tens of thousands of civilians, and a reminder of how far humanity is willing to go in total war. So the question remains, was the firebombing of Tokyo a necessary act to end the war faster, or one of the darkest crimes in modern history? That answer is left to history.